A win for Chelsea against Everton in the early kickoff will see them move into the top four, but the Chelsea fans haven't been pleased with their form since Christmas.
I think the fans are the same that time ago they were thinking that Chelsea's back, they were showing that they were happy. And now probably because we are not winning the same amount of games that we were winning at the beginning, they are showing that they are not happy. So in the way we accept when they were thinking that Chelsea's back, we need to accept now that they are not happy. The only thing I can say, and I said already many times, is that the players, they are working hard every day to bring this club where this club has to be.
And when I came in, I was really worried. I'm looking, I'm saying this could really go to the last couple of games, maybe having to win at home. But I have to say the players have done such a good job, got the job done early, and got myself in a pretty strong position, which we want to build on. We want to try and finish the season well. We shouldn't be celebrating avoiding relegation. That's far from it. And I think the position we're in, it may be worth that. But the truth is, we've got to try and aim for much bigger and much better than that.
Okay, let's start by looking at the race for Europe and how it's shaping up. We know that Forest and City obviously not in action this week because of the FA Cup. Villa, the same story. They play Crystal Palace. But these are the sides from 3rd to 7th and the points and who they play in the remaining match weeks. I mean, Chelsea just outside of it. Newcastle were in the lead and then they lost to Villa. Man City now suddenly finding some form as well. Nottingham Forest, who were in the pound seats all the time, have dropped off a little bit now. It's so tough. It's going to go right down to the wire.
It is, and I think, you look at this Chelsea side and they're in 6th at the moment, and I don't know, I just think Chelsea are quite a strange team because they have the quality individuals, but they just never seem to, get to where they need to get to. It's like the plan is in place. Is it Maresca's fault? They bring in the players of recruitment, but I think you look at this, running, and I think that's become kind of the focus based upon the fact that Liverpool are going to win the league. I personally think Villa have done an incredible job. I love Emery. But I think Chelsea should be doing we should be talking about Chelsea pushing for the title, with the amount of money they've spent. I'm not talking about performances. Earlier on in the season, do you remember when Enzo Maresca didn't want to say they were in the title race?
Yeah.
And I thought that he would be telling the players we're in the title race, but telling us they're not. But from what I'm seeing, maybe he didn't believe they were really in it because they haven't really been in it, have they?
I think his communication has been dreadful, really. But he's a young manager. I think people forget this is his first job in a top division. The year in the Championship, the season in the Championship doesn't really count. He had a few months at Parma in Serie A in Italy. It doesn't really count because he lost the job very early. So this is his first season. I think he's learning on the spot, and he's making mistakes in his communication tactically. Some games have been really shambolic from a tactical point of view, and also at that level you are paid as a manager and a lot of money to find solutions, right? To find why is Copama not performing? I'm going to find a solution and I'm going to get him. Why defensively we're not strong? I'm going to find a solution. And right now he's struggling to find any sort of solution. So they beat Fulham, which they really needed badly. And now they've got probably the toughest run in, as we saw earlier. Yeah. It won't be easy. They can still obviously do it, but I think he's really struggling now.
And after all this time, they still need the goalkeeper, isn't at the level for me. Absolutely, the back line, chop and change. And I think Cucurella is good. But other than that, you look at the individuals at Chelsea, the amount of money they've spent, they're not anywhere near it. For me, when you look at them, when you see them going up against, a Liverpool or an Arsenal, I don't look at Chelsea and think, actually, this is going to be a tough game for City or Liverpool or Arsenal. I don't see that way. So, and the crazy thing is the amount of money they spent. It's over $1 billion, right?
Yeah, 1.2 billion.
And they're sitting in this place when they're in 6th and potentially could miss out on, that space. But I don't think it all comes down to Maresca. Genuinely, I agree with what Julian said. When he was at Leicester, I know a lot of people weren't that, optimistic when he got the Chelsea job, was they? Because they said the style of play, didn't really fit the style of play they were looking to play at Chelsea. But when I watch Chelsea now, I'm not really quite sure what their style of play is.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. It's an interesting one, but I just think Chelsea we should be doing far better because I'm sure a lot of teams like Bournemouth, Brighton, those types of teams that are doing really well, even Wolves, would love to have the budget that Chelsea had.
Do you know what's fascinating to me, just looking at some of the numbers? Because as you mentioned, Chelsea, you can't quite figure them out. So Chelsea have the most shots at home in the entire Premier League. I think the most that they've had in a decade. And we just saw the Ipswich game at the end of that footage we were showing people. And I was working on that game. Couldn't understand how they were 2-0 down against Ipswich. And that seems to be a pattern for them. And then also just managing to get a draw in that game. So many chances, so many shots, as the numbers show, just not clinical enough.
Yeah, they needed another number 9, I think, because Nico Jackson has been good at times, but he was injured and there was nobody to replace him while he was injured. And now, since coming back from injury, he's not at his best yet. If Cole Palmer has a drought like he has currently, and that's been going on for quite a while, they just don't have enough creativity. The wingers are not efficient enough again, whether it's Neto, Madueke or Sancho. I mean, Mudryk is obviously gone. Joe Felix as well. So with there, and defensively, they concede a lot of goals. So they're down to Kukureya to do something a bit special, which should not be the case. And it's just not good enough collectively or individually. I think Caicedo has probably been the best player with Cole Palmer this season. Yeah. And he can't just do everything on his own either in that midfield.
Yeah, Cole Palmer's going through something. He's in the wars at the moment, struggling a little bit. It's very different to the Cole Palmer we saw that got 4 against Everton. I think it was last season. Have you ever gone through a period like that? How do you kind of get out of it?
Yeah, it's difficult as well because there's a big responsibility. When I've played on teams where I've gone through a drought, someone else would step up and put the ball in the back of the net or other chances were created. I think at Chelsea, when it's so much emphasis on Cole Palmer, it's difficult, isn't it? Because other teams will just, they know if they mark Cole Palmer out the game. But last year, I think, in the beginning of the season, there were times where he was unplayable. You know, it didn't matter if he had players around him, but then there comes a point where other people have to step up. And at Chelsea, I just don't see other people stepping up. You know, you look at the recruitment, we talk about a lot of teams recruitment, but they seem to have just bought a bunch of players and not really had a plan for where they're going to play them.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like, where does this player play? We're going to play him there. Is that really the best for the team? So was Caicedo the best option for Chelsea at that moment in time? Did they need him? I like Caicedo, and he's been one of the best players, I agree. But, like, did they need him at that moment in time? Do you know what I mean? Like, they had Enzo there. Like, they just seem to have been recruiting players and not really having a plan for them. But I like Cole Palmer. I still think he's a top player. Like, he's got the creativity. But other people have to step up as well.
Let's talk about their opponents, Everton, because, you know, since David Moyes came in, I think in his first 10 games, there was only 1 defeat. Notable difference. And the key for them was survival, especially with this new stadium for next season. They absolutely had to be a Premier League team. But now they've lost 2 in the last 4. Is that kind of expected because they're safe, they can't really go into the top 10? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. They were a bit unlucky against City because they should have been a 0-0 draw every day, and they conceded those 2 goals late in the last 5 minutes. But yeah, I think he's brought a lot of belief back to start with, a lot of discipline back. He's perfect for these kind of situations and club. They are without Tarkowski for Saturday's game at Chelsea, which is a massive blow because he's been great for them. And as soon as he came off against City, and we see him scoring there against Liverpool, as soon as Tarkowski went off, I think they struggled really against City. So whoever replaces him, whether you move O'Brien from right back to centre back, whether you start Michael Keane, who was not very good against City when he came on, we will see. But they are solid, more solid than they've ever been before this season. So they can easily go to Chelsea and do a job considering the form that Chelsea have right now.
Yeah, that Tarkowski is a big blow. He'd made 111 appearances in a row, which is a record.
Yeah, it's
but he was injured against City and he's now out for the rest of the season. How tough do you think a challenge Everton will be for Chelsea?
Yeah, I think, like, one thing I want to say, David Moyes, since he's gone back there, like, he just seems to get that club, doesn't he? You can see in his press conferences, you know, he seems re-energised completely. And I think that filters when you have a coach and a manager that comes in that loves the club like he does. Obviously, previously being there, the fans loved him. He was there for a long time. I think under David Moyes, they're a different team. Like, the quality individuals, like the Everton have, I don't think they have that much quality players. There was always a heavy reliance upon Dominic Calvert-Lewin being available. You know, I like Mikalenko and those types of players, but I still think them getting that new stadium, it was so pivotal they stayed in the Premier League. Because right now, it seems obviously like it was a whirlwind the way they potentially could have got relegated. But that was a realistic thing that was happening earlier on in the season until David Moyes got in there. So I think under David Moyes, they just seem to have that little bit of energy that they never had before.